What's up, good people? Quick live on the both sides. A little later than usual, but on this side of the world, it's not too late, apparently. So, let's do that. Bum, 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 bum. Miss Boss is in the building. What is up? What is up, good people? Got a little uh, TikTok action, a little YouTube action. So, what's up, Miss Boss? What is thy question? Popping in for a little bit here. Let me know. Branch of service, years you served. If you're new, popping in, say what's up. We got a little TikTok over here. We got YouTube on this side. So popping in for a little bit, testing some systems again. Tomorrow night, well, later on today, we have some class. So making sure all that stuff works. Let's see. Let me switch this over to this side. Bum, 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 bum. So, in a way, what's up, Willie, on YouTube? So, if you have a diagnosis already for migraines, the nexus you have is arguing for the PTSD. They can make mention to the migraine piece, but how are you filing the migraine question? That's the whole thing. So, the question was, can I use a nexus from a PTSD for migraines if the therapist mentioned it? I'm going to say really it depends, but more so no, because the nexus and the rationale in there is specifically talking about the PTSD, even though it's mentioning that migraines may be a thing, right? So if you're going to go secondary migraine to the PTSD, you're going to want to have a diagnosis, obviously a nexus to support that argument. Personally, I'm big on at least try to get the first thing rated first and then a secondary, because if they deny the PTSD, by default, the migraine gets denied too, right? So I'd say let's get the PTSD first and then go for the migraine second, especially if you're like getting a nexus letter for one and then the other. So when you're rated 89, do you think the VA nickel and dimes you to get to 100? No, Mark, it's just VA math. So if you're 89, that means you have 11 points, right? 11 left, and you need to make a point there to get something to move the needle. So if you have 11, a 50% rating, right? What's 50% of 11? It won't take you over, so you'll be at 94. If you were 90 straight through, 50% of 10 is 5. 5 plus 90 is 95. 95 rounds up to the 100. So not nickel and dime, it's just the VA math, the way it works, that's all. What's going on? Willie on the book on the YouTube side of the house. What's up, brother? Let's see. Quickly tonight, tomorrow, yeah. We have Ace Your CMP, links in bio for that. That'll be a whole hour class. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. So if you have a CMP coming up or know somebody who does, let them know. Links in the bio for that. It'll be a good session, about an hour of class and about an hour of Q&A. So we'll be able to get a lot accomplished. The PTSD is already rated and the service connected. So what did you get the Nexus for then? As far as the PTSD, or was like a previous one that you used, just to be able to at least kind of understand how you're arguing that. But if you already used that nexus for the PTSD, it's not new evidence. I wouldn't use it for the migraine. If sleep apnea was denied for a primary, would automatically get denied for a secondary? No. So you have some veterans that file something for a direct to service, in this case looking at sleep apnea, but in turn you don't have an argument for it, but you have a better argument as a secondary. So you're going to go supplemental, you're going to appeal that and say it should have been secondary and add the proof for it. So it will not be automatically denied. It could just be the way it should have been filed, but you're still going to have the proof to be able to argue that though. Let's see, how would you prove shelter work environment if you're self-employed? So a few things, right? You have a business, I have a business. Is your business thriving? Are you able to do certain things? Just because it's yours, sometimes you have to realize, right? Can you work for people? Probably not. Can people work for you? How does that affect you, right? So there's a lot of different variables that play into that. So the question was, how would you prove a sheltered environment when you're self-employed? And again, that's very subjective because, you know, by definition, is your business even, is it businessing, if that makes sense, right? So you obviously can concede to yourself, but are you losing businesses with other people? Are there relationships and things that are not happening because of what you got going on? So yeah, you're self-employed, but if you have a shop and I have a shop, my shop is doing business left and right, and I have connections everywhere, and you're not advancing, not progressing, don't nobody want to do business with you. You know what I'm saying? So those kind of details there really, are part of it. Because sometimes you got someone who can't work for somebody else, but then people can't work for you either. So your little shop is just your little shop. So there's different ways to argue that, really, right? As far as like if it was somebody else, what would be the differences and things like that, right? So an example. Yes, it was used for PTSD. I figured it'll be good. No, so I wouldn't use that. No, because there's already evidence that's been used, and again, the argument for. So the question was, can I use the Nexus that I have for that I use for my PTSD for the migraines because it mentioned it? No, it would make sense, obviously, economy of motion, but no, because it's already been used before. You're not introducing, even though it's a new condition, it's not making the rationale for the migraines. Versus if you got a Nexus for the migraine specifically, arguing how it's secondary to PTSD. That's what I would say, as far as that's concerned. What's up, everybody else? Just kind of popping in a little bit here on the road, so got a little more time to just kind of pop and do this. So I'm on TikTok here, and I'm on YouTube on this side. If you are not following on YouTube, you should do that. Same username, because I'm so creative. But doing a lot more stuff and trying to multitask here a little bit. So, yeah, you're welcome, Willie. So again, does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Like again, so really look at that, right? Like almost make a clone of your business with someone who didn't have your issues, and what will be the differences? What are the things that you know for a fact you've completely ruined? Oh, I'm your supplier, right, of whatever business, and because I know you're a veteran-owned thing, I'm giving you business, but the reality is I'd have cut you off a long time ago. But, you know what I'm saying? So in a situation like that, you're only really getting business because, you know what I'm saying? So that also can be an argument for like the sheltered aspect. If you were just a regular Joe Schmo selling tires, guess what? You'd have been cut off a long time ago. But I'll give you some tires and go from there. Kevin's on both sides. We are on this side and that side. My man Kevin, the boot nurse, is in the building. What is up? Insomnia taking us all. I'll tell you what, man. Social media is hilarious to me. I love it, but it is hilarious to me that insomnia video, it takes off, and it's funny because half of the comments are literally not me watching this insomnia video at whatever time in the morning. I'll raise you one. Not me doing a live at freaking this time of night. Insomnia for the win. So, cheers to that, right? Let's see. Diagnosed with sleep apnea while in service, still can't get a rating. How did you file it? When did you file it? When did you get out? You were diagnosed in service, had a sleep study in service. Give me a little more details. JR. If I'm winning a higher level review on claims, should I hold off filing new claims? Great question. So the question is, should I hold off on filing claims if I have something pending for an appeal? So the reality is, yeah, you can actually file for a new claim for sure. Because what's going to happen is that higher level review is down that appeal route. A brand new claim isn't touching that. So if that higher level review is for migraines, your brand new claim is for IBS, right? You're not going to do another migraine situation. Don't touch that because that's in higher level review. You could have something on supplemental. You could have something at the board and a brand new claim too. So different pathways for sure. Let's see. Got rated 0 for headaches, but I filed an HLR. I also signed with VNCC. Should I wait for the HLR? So for the HLR, what's it for, right? Don't touch whatever it is in HLR until that comes back. But in the meantime, start planning for the other things that you can look into. Adding what, Kevin, specifically? Insomnia got me right now. Yeah, on your side, it'll be a little bit different because I think you already have a mental health one. So I don't think that one might fly on your side. But some sleep issues maybe. After your CMP is completed, how long does it take to get your rating? I love your username, Wide Awake. So it really depends, right? The question is, after a CMP, how long does it take to get a thing done? And it really varies, right? It varies on, the complexity of the case, how many things are being looked at, are going to defer some, order some. So, it can be literally 30 days or less. It could be a few months. There really is no rhyme or reason sometimes why that happens. You have instances, sadly, where some veterans have a CMP and the examiner never sends the report in. So the VA is just waiting for this report. It never shows up. Eventually they ask for it. It gets lost. And guess what? The veteran has to do another CMP. Seen that happen too. Diagnosed in 99. I've tried several times. I got out in 2000. How many times did you file? And when you filed it, how, again, because it was in service, you have your records. That's kind of interesting. That'd be something to kind of appeal. How many times did you appeal that? And when you filed it, did you do it by yourself? Did you get help from a VSO? What was the details on that? I'm going to the VA tomorrow. How can I get at least 30%? I don't know, honestly. All right, what are we looking at, right? Every situation is different. So when it comes to disabilities, I understand we look at numbers, but again, not knowing anything, you apply for nothing, right? Do you have IBS? That's gonna be 30. Do you have GERD? That could be 30. Do you have a migraine? That could be 30. Do you have hypersomnolence and not sleep apnea, CPAP? That could be 30. You know what I'm saying? So mental health at 30. So what we're working with, right? It's too broad a question, right, to be able to give you some stuff like, what are you dealing with? What are your issues? What are the impairments that is present in your life, right? That's the biggest things to look at, right? What's happening today? Lost hearing the cord. They gave me 10. Third-party company, work on it. U.S. Marine Base. Okay, check. Who you working with? You can welcome RCKS. Marcus concurs. Mine took 2 weeks, but waiting on insomnia. It got deferred. They requested more info, and that can happen too. For PTSD, but lawyers said not to respond. Man, really? You know what? I'm gonna try to be nice. I'm gonna try to be nice. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice. I'm just gonna say, why would they say not to respond if the VA's trying to rate you for something and needs details? That to me sounds like a big old fuck you to the system. I'm sorry, that's just stupid. Like, what are they asking for? Like, don't respond. Hey VA, I have PTSD. I want to file. VA, hey DP, can you give us some details about when the thing happened? Not responding. The fuck? Someone should be nice. Yeah, you can shoot me a DM, but just be mindful. I'm up to like 90 that I have left, so I have a lot there. So it might take me a few to get back to you, but I'll get back to you. Or to get to me quicker, shoot me a message on Instagram, and my team can see it too. I probably claim migraines and mental health. That's a good argument, yeah. What mental health we're looking at? Anxiety, depression, where we at? Submitted sleep apnea, 3 statement letters from boot camp, work, and from officers. Were you diagnosed in service? Or are they just giving you reports saying you snored in service? Are those plausible claims? I don't know what the question was, Marcus. I'm sorry. Way to wake deferred, story months. What plausible claims? I'm sorry. Let's see. To claim insomnia is secondary to tinnitus, do I need to see a doctor and have that? So that's the thing. They're treating the secondaries really, really crazy. Like you could do a primary, but secondaries they're kind of finicky on as far as a standalone thing. So they'll use it as a symptom of the primary, so it won't give you another service connection. So if you were to file insomnia direct by itself, it will be treated as a mental health condition. But if you're going to go secondary, that's where my argument is, where I think that's almost like an oxymoron, the way they're treating it. Let's see. Hope have an amazing. Appreciate you, Teddy. Should I respond? So yeah, again, what are they asking though? You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to be a dick, but I kind of am being a dick. What are they asking for? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes when you're filing for PTSD, they may be asking things like you're saying by definition a traumatic event happened. Okay, you forgot to tell us where the traumatic event happened. You know what I'm saying? I was in Fallujah from freaking route freaking blah 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 to route blah blah blah, and this happened. When did it happen? We have multiple things that have happened during this time frame. It was June of '09. Thank you. You see what I'm saying? So they're looking to basically do their job. It's not asking you questions just to screw you over. So then you get denied, and then it becomes a what? You know what I'm saying? So now here's a question though. Is that PTSD claim the first time you're filing it? Or is that something you're appealing? The answer to that will dictate how petty I want to get right now. First time on your content favorite caliber. The one that makes, well, I went to law enforcement afterwards, so I like the 357. They put them down, those little Full Metal Jackets. Let's see, bro, thanks, actually going to respond. But yeah, let me know if it's what is it? What exactly, was it direct or was it an appeal? Because I got some things to say about that. Nick, Amy's in the building. Got the crew popping in. Amy's on my team, so if you're answering questions, she's on my crew, as is Nayeli here popping in the questions as well. Reports that I snored and I was sleep deprived. I also had a CPAP test and had the most severe. So the biggest thing for that is more if you had the sleep test study done in service. Sometimes the whole somebody snore thing, I get it, but that's not an apnea episode. You know, snores are snores, but again, it's being very detailed, right? Like this dude would stop breathing, like we had to go check on him type of stuff. It'd be like, whatever, you know what I mean? So beyond snore is my whole point. Ooh, you can pin stuff here. That's pretty dope. Actually, let's pin that one. That's a pretty good one there. Let's pin that comment. Not responding equals a quick denial. Oh, and it counts down too and it goes away. That's something every day. What is and where would I find the intent to file paperwork? Be it I go. Some people will tell you not to respond because they only get paid off appeals. Damn it, Amy, don't steal my thunder. That's what I'm asking. Because you have some, again, I'll wait for him to answer if this is a PTSD an issue or PTSD appeal. Over on YouTube, Sabrina, it was documented that I had a symptomatic scoliosis when I joined. How are aggravated claims rated? So that's a good one. So aggravated claims, you're looking at something you had, so they're going to assess kind of where was your impairment level. So let's just say, for argument's sake, to make it simple, I came into service with a full-blown, you know, again, I'm just to make the numbers easy, migraines. And the level of migraines that I had prior to service would have warranted a 10% rating. So now the VA would come in and look at the aggravation and say, okay, I went from 10 to 50, but the rating would only factor in that 10 to 50. The 0 to 10 wouldn't be factored in. Or if I was like a 30%, it would be like a 30 to 50. So it's basically saying, okay, you came in with this much, then we're going to see the difference here. So that's where it gets kind of finicky, especially with some conditions. I've seen some folks, they'll come in with something and like sleep apnea, you already had it, it made it worse, but you already were at 50. So technically it kind of zeroes out. So those aggravations, you know, can be kind of interesting. Sprained my ankle, 13, 2 doctors, severe times, over 3 periods, month, nothing better, still hurts to this day. Okay. Have you ever filed it? Had blood work, was determined that I have thyroid deficiency. Again, how are you tying it back to service, Jose? Based on mental health issues, respect to service men and women. Salute. I think, all right, so I think Flow Styles might have stepped off. So basically, my whole point is if the VA is asking for something, because the question was the VA asked for more details about the PTSD claim, but the lawyer said don't respond. And sometimes you have people that will say things like that because if it's your first initial PTSD claim, they can't charge you for that on their side of the house, the way their setup is set up. However, if you get denied for that PTSD, oh, lo and behold, now we're going to go ahead and appeal. And then the appeal will respond, and now that you won, I can charge you. IBS combined with gastritis doesn't seem correct. It happens. It's the same, you know, the same system, GI, like respiratory stuff and whatnot, asthma, and that's IBS, GERD, those things are part of the same body system, so GI tract. So being able to see the symptoms and differentiating them is like a pyramid type of thing. So that's very common. Same thing like asthma, respiratory situations, things like that. It happens. Is the VA behind in getting to claims? My CMP was done 3 months ago and it still shows gathering evidence. Behind, brother, damn near coming out 1 million claims. They are very behind. But again, there's no rhyme or reason. Some stuff takes a long time. Some stuff moves very quickly. So there's that part. A la Clubhouse, resetting the room, popping in live, just talking a little bit of claims. If you have some questions, pop them in. If you have a CMP coming up, I have a CMP class I'm teaching tomorrow. Ace your CMP. It's a live class I'm teaching, an hour of classwork, and then some Q&A afterward. It's 47 buckaroons. I know, crazy. But it'll be a good session, and vets have a good understanding of everything. I'll cover things before CMP, talking to your psychologist. I'll talk about what a CMP is, what a CMP is not, what to do, what not to do, what to expect, what not to expect. In a bad CMP, what are your courses of actions, mental health claims, all other claims, physical range of motion claims, and then Q&A with a few jokes in between, dad jokes. Turnaround time for CMP second review was 2 items claimed. It depends. Mowzilla. Meow. Meowzilla. It depends. Again, the complexity of the situation, if there are other things, again, if it's a second review on it, were there things that need to be clarified? Has it moved them from one station to be able to be reviewed in the next station for post to do a thing? So it really varies, you know what I'm saying, for sure. Thanks for responding again. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? This is what it's all about. You know, out here rocking. I need to get like an insomnia, hoodie made up. We need to do that. You know, insomnia for the win. But yeah. Where's everybody at? Where are you all physically watching from? What time is it where you are at? That's more fitting to the insomnia theme of the evening. I should call these like the VA Claim Insomnia Hour. That'll be a good title for these late nights. 2:23 a.m. You are on the East Coast. All right. It is midnight all the way over here on this side of the world, so. Well, Colorado Springs. 22:23 in Cali. Marcus is at 1:23 in the AM. Roger that. Sabrina is at 2:23 in Florida. Check, check, check. Los Angeles. If some claims are deferred, I'm waiting for another exam. No. So yes, if the exam hasn't happened, yeah. But it's more so like 5 claims are on my desk. I'm able to do one thing, then I go ahead and award, these or finalize these things, and I push these out to be able to get back to it later. So that's just basically means they're still working it. If the CMP hasn't happened, then yes, they'll do that, or they may just be doing other things after that. Shout out to you, Battle. What's going on? VetCam is in the building. Let's see, 2:23 a.m. Arizona. I'm in Arizona, so there's that part. So let's see. 2:23 in Jacksonville, Florida. Willie, 2:23 in Georgia. Okay. Not at the moment. I'm looking at it, as far as I'm debating on doing some like training, bringing some people in. I've had some people reach out and things like that. So looking like a little way to kind of get your feet into this type of stuff. Because like this is an interesting field, right? It's good because of what we do and how we help vets. But it's not what people may think sometimes, and not a lot of people are cut out for it. So I usually like to do like a whole like OJT type of thing, interning type of thing, just to see if it kind of makes sense. Because they might be like, oh hell no, I thought this was gonna be cool, but man, these people, this is not at all what I thought it was gonna be. So TRICARE, you're out, or are you still in? Diagnosed with sinusitis, allergic rhinitis. Yeah, so they'll kind of look at that as kind of being the same system on your side, Sabrina. So that's kind of how that can kind of go. Usually kind of see one or the other, even though technically you can argue that one kind of goes more on the polyps and things like that. The other one becomes like, a head type of thing, but you may have, again, the same system type of thing there. I have pain during dorsiflexion from the sprained ankle. Is that something I could claim? Again, painful motion, things like such. The body's kind of weird when it comes to like, musculoskeletal range of motion type of thing. So, if the RBSR that is working your claim has proven to be incompetent or negligent, so how would you know? There's more than one person that touches your claim, so it's not like there's like Jim who's working your claim, right? Jim works it today, tomorrow might be Bobby, the next day might be Sandra. But yeah, good question. How would you know that they are negligent? Okay, let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Hope that helps, Sabrina, on the YouTubes. CMP class is tonight, 8 p.m. Wednesday night, tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How can you attach sleep apnea? So the insomnia going secondary to PTSD won't go because that's already a mental health condition. They'll look at it as a symptom, so that won't necessarily do much for you there. Do you have PTSD already? That's one way to look at it. Now, is sleep apnea secondary to PTSD? That's an argument. You're still going to need a nexus letter to help make that argument there. How are you arguing it? Is it causation or is it aggravation? And a nexus can help make that argument. Deferred claims basically means they just pushed it off. So they may award some things now and they just defer, they push it out, and they'll kind of make a determination on it later. So the question was, what are deferred claims basically? And that just means that hey, these are done. I did like a skit. I got to pin it to my post. I had like a whole period. I just randomly, I forgot where it was going, but I just did a whole bunch of like Spanish skits. And it was like someone had asked about it, and I remember in my mind I had just said it. It was just like, "Papito, shh, this one is good. That one, no, wait, not right now. Wait a minute." And it was like, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, defer just means that they're just basically saying they'll get to it in a little bit. They're not just done with it yet. That's all. But they won't hold up other things. So they may award some things and then defer others. That's all. Not a bad thing, not a good thing. Just means they're still working it. Cool, Sabrina. Let's see. You're welcome, Abel. They couldn't find sleep studies. Does it was done in the VA records, and obviously I didn't read DBQ. So that's really again that's not was that the one with the yeah. So that again that's one you'll never know who did it. It could have been it might have not even been the RBSR. It could have been the VSR. You know what I'm saying? Who didn't do their part as it went to the RBSR side. So there's many factors and many hands in the mix there. So you'd be hard pressed to try to fight something like that because you'll never know. But appealing, that's the only way. And then at some point, if they get it wrong or fix it, they'll be like, oh, we made a mistake. But you'll never know who actually made the mistake. I had a knee surgery and I had a shoulder surgery. What am I looking at? A lot of painkillers, apparently. It depends. You know what I'm saying? How are you arguing? Just because you had surgery, was the surgery in service? Was the injury in service? Like, what are we arguing? How are you arguing it? So, again, that's healthcare. What does one thing have to do with the other, right? How are you arguing it back to service? So, what are you looking at? Looking at a way to connect it back to service. That's what the argument would be. So, what are you thinking? Let's see. Is it possible to attach night terrors to anxiety with a nexus letter? Yeah, those are symptoms and whatnot. But again, beyond that, what else is happening? If you haven't seen my video on 50 to 70 mental health or 70 to 100 mental health, I go into that in detail. The higher the rating, the more it becomes more of the different things that are happening. So, okay, night terror, but that's only one symptom. What else is happening, right? That could be looked at different ways. So, give you more. What's actually, more deeper than that, peeling back the onion layers. Let's see. What's the difference between Service Connect and Agent Orange? So Agent Orange is an umbrella that just helps make the argument. So you don't have to argue as a veteran who was exposed to Agent Orange herbicides and things like that, and toxins, that your diabetes was caused by service, right? Because you were exposed to this, it's presumed that that's where it came from, hence presumptions. If you were in the Gulf, presumptions for respiratory issues, GI tract issues because of that location. So that's what it means. So it's the same thing. It's just a way to argue it. If that's not in there, then you're making the argument saying, hey, I have, let's see, I have, whatchamacallit, this thing tied to that. You know what I'm saying? So that's all it is. It's an umbrella. Let's see. How would I prove hearing loss? My claim got denied, but I know for a fact that I don't hear right. So when it comes to, so ringing in the ears, that's one thing. But then when you're also looking at the hearing loss, right? Auditory discrimination comes into place and whatnot too. So that exam is looking at a few different things. Check. On this side of the house, sun-side right were separately. If you were in the Gulf War, is a presumptive. Check. There you go. Let's see. Does going to mental health appointments count as enough evidence for a claim? So yes and no. Just because you're being seen on a healthcare side. So this is a good point to break down that there's Veterans Health Administration, VHA, and there's Veterans Benefit Administration, BBA. When you're looking at VHA, that's healthcare. When you look at BBA, that's the disability side of the house. One thing doesn't necessarily give the other. So when you're looking at healthcare, getting care, being treated, things like that, that doesn't mean you're going to get a diagnosis. So think of it like Social Security and Medicare. So going to your appointments and getting seen on mental health side, yes, it's good because you should be doing that for your own care and whatnot, but it doesn't necessarily give you enough for the claim because now it's like, okay, you have a diagnosis, that's one, but what is the event or stressor in service and how are you connecting that, right? So diagnosis, in service, event or stressor, and a nexus to connect those things. Deny for pets planus, planus fasciitis, fighting supplemental, constant pain, stress fractures legs. Yeah, so again, are you going to go direct to service, something else? Because sometimes your left leg could be, let's say, service connected, then the argument could become that the right knee has become worse because the left knee made it worse, the left knee is connected, secondary for the right knee now. Or if you have records and things in service of how you're going to connect it, Sabrina, you can probably go at it that way. A nexus letter may help depending on how long you've been out as well. So a few ways for sure. A podiatrist wrote that those were contributing factors. Should I pursue a HLR? Just wondering. So the HLR, yeah, if that thing's in there where you can show that you have a diagnosis that was caused in service and it persists today, you could argue the HLR for sure. But if that doesn't fly, then you can do a supplemental, get more medical evidence to kind of double down on the evidence. I link binge eating to major depression disorder, which linked to obesity via a nexus. Yes, it's an intermediary step. So using the mental health side, that in turn causes the weight gain, which in turn causes the next thing. So, but even in that case, there, the binge eating itself is not going to be rated because on the other side of the house for eating disorders is more, the opposite of that. But yeah, it's a path. Well, I could tell you Gotham Knight is that apparently I don't ghost you because I'm right here talking to you. You don't know who the founder or CEO is of that Guardian? Hello. I'm saying so. There's different things to do. I would say, it depends what you need, right? We're not for everybody. So, some people might just need a class. Some people might need some direction. But I'd say have a phone call. We'll see where you're at. Kind of go from there. Why did they ghost you though? That's the question I would have. And I always find that interesting when organizations ghost a veteran. It becomes a thing of like, did they just not see that it was business there for them? So they said, go kick rocks. Don't like it. Let's see. Just won my claim. Sabrina, which one? But yeah, and even classes like tomorrow, or tonight, Wednesday night, 8 p.m., I'm doing my ACER CMP class. So that's like a one-off, a la carte type of thing for sure. Okay. Okay. Check. So now HLR for tinnitus. Medical diagnosis, doctor, ER, vet, the VA, private doctors. Any of those will count. Not me watching this up late night because of my insomnia. I literally said that earlier. I should call this like the insomnia claims hour. Not me answering questions about insomnia at this time of night. I love it. What's up, Eduardo? I like it. I love it. Give me some more of it. Got no sleep. Doo, 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 doo. All right. Let's see. Pretty good, pretty good. On the road, so popping some lives. I'm on TikTok here, YouTube on this side, and just kind of, going at it that way. How would you try to claim that back to service? You know what I'm saying? Again, if it's falling more on the mental health side of the house, as far as what's happening psychologically, right? That's an argument chain there. So there's different ways to look at something, but really, what's at play, right? origin, travel influencer of, said condition. Hypertension, varicose. Okay. Yeah, a regular doctor would do that. Specialist would do those type of things. Gotta go see a doctor. Let me check this message here real quick. Major depressive disorder, anxiety for me. Check. Yeah, Sabrina. Yeah, you do. So it doesn't go away. You do get reevaluated if it's not static, but yeah. Yep, same thing to Amy's point. Again, it's more peeling back the onion layer. So it's not the dysmorphia itself, it's more what's happening and what's caused that, right? So for some veterans, are we having an instance of MST, right? That's a common one you see a lot of, but a lot of MST victims don't understand that because it's like, wait a second, what has happened? That man look freaking crazy. Literally, as I said it. But yeah, MST is a big one for that because of what's going on, right? So things happen that in turn have caused this mental health condition, which in turn has caused now this dysmorphia, right? So that's kind of the line of argument. So really, it's a PTSD claim in that case with MST or anxiety or depression or whatever the case may be that in turn led to that, all right? So got to peel back the onion layers. You can, yep. Many people do that. It doesn't automatically go from Social Security to VA disability, but yeah, there's two separate things. So some folks do have VA disability and Social Security as well. Never tried PTSD because I never wanted to bring it up, but got depression service connected. PTSD is a low VHA records though. A mental health condition is a mental health condition rating. So, you know, if you're 70 for PTSD or 70 for MA, freaking major depressive disorder, MDD, or GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, it's still the same 70. Do you recommend using a VSO for an appeal? If you have a good VSO, hold on to them tight. One of my good buddies was VSO. So, what are you appealing? I guess that would be the first question, Oranger. But if you have a good one, for sure. But you don't want to be left high and dry. That's the biggest thing. Sorry if I wrote this before. Where would I go for an appeal, and what are the odds? You would appeal right to the VA, right? So, what is the appeal nature? What was denied? How long was it ago was it denied? Are you going to go for a high level review? Would you do a supplemental claim and add new evidence that was missing in the initial claim, which is why it was denied? So there's different ways that can kind of play out. Focus on symptoms, not diagnosis. Yeah, and that's a big one too. I hit on that too a lot in the classes that we do. Tomorrow I'll hit on that too on the CMP class, because when it's all same thing, they got some good folks at the DAV. If you can find a good one, like I said, push that as far as you can. You know what I mean? So I'm big on options. For some people, a lawyer works. For some people, the VSO works, or a claim agent works, or a private company works, right? But yeah, focusing on symptoms and not diagnosis is big. A lot of veterans have this habit of going in just trying to get a PTSD diagnosis or major depressive diagnosis, when really you should just go in to speak about your symptoms, because you can actually walk out of there with a diagnosis of PTSD and anxiety and depression. So when you file into the VA, right, you have different arguments you can make potentially. You only have one rating for mental health, but again, understanding that it's a symptom conversation and not a diagnosis conversation, that's a huge one. Let's see. Awesome. Thanks for the like. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, Sabrina. I have 0% rating for migraine. On TikTok, I have a good video on migraines 101. It's also on YouTube. Probably might be easier to find it there, because here it's just kind of whatever. But whatchamacallit, you Can look at the different requirements there for the increase for the migraine. Yeah, there you go. People be talking, and then things be different. How did you get to 100%? Symptoms. It's a symptom conversation. But everybody's path, to Amy's point, is very different how they get there. And again, I understand when veterans do that, but I'll tell you, after all these years of working with veterans, thousands of veterans, over all these years, again, we're here. I'm here in Arizona to see Carl. He's 95, going 96. He's filing his first claim. What he will do for his claim is going to vary from what I would do than what you would do. So I understand when someone's kind of like, well, what did you do to do that? That's the wrong way to look at these things. You know what I mean? The person went in there, had a diagnosis, spoke to symptoms, and was able to fight that. Some veterans luck out, fall on the right desk, and they go that way. But the biggest thing here is to look at, no, that's not automatic. Social Security is not automatic, no. You have to file for that separately. But yeah, the path is different for everybody, but it's really a symptom conversation. For mental health, it's symptoms. But, you know, every veteran is different. Do, 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 do. Tried getting disability for anxiety, and they said it was before the military, and denied me. And I actually literally just said that example. So some things, again, if they pin it to previous service things, you have instances where you can file a claim as either being caused by service or aggravated by service. So if you went into service with known conditions already there, that's an aggravation argument. Now, if they were trying to just pin something to say it's because of things before military, well, how are you saying that? How do we get there, right? What's the argument to say that was the case? So you can appeal those things. Conversely, you know, it could be an aggravation argument to say, okay, yeah, I might have had that, but this thing made it worse. So, you know, there's different pathways to argue that and appeal it. Diagnosis, know your truth, speak to those truths, have the things in place. If you have a nexus letter that you need, do that. If you don't know what you're doing, get some help. Save yourself some time. Let's see. From a rating perspective, no. Things could be classified combat this or non-combat that. The difference is, you know, I don't have to make an argument. For example, for my combat PTSD, you know, we got hit with an IED. We got freaking, you know, documentation to the thing. So it's easier to just point, hey, look, I don't have to explain to you a thing. It's here's the proof that something did happen. So it's kind of like a presumptive. So sometimes in a combat situation, some things are easier to argue, but the rating's still the rating nonetheless, right? So, you know, you see equally combat stuff versus non-combat stuff. A rating's a rating. It's just how we get to the argument, that's all. Like a presumptive. I don't have to argue that I had respiratory issues. I was in the Gulf. So being in that region, you know, I have a presumption for those conditions. Inpatient does not equal VA rating. Yep, back to VHA, BVA. I got out May of last year. Is it too late to say that, excuse me, what I'm trying to claim is too late? Nope, my oldest veteran was off for 50 years and he got rated. The VA will treat you for mental health. However, you still have to prove it's service connected. Yep. I always forget to say this, especially on TikTok side of the house. YouTube, not so much. Be very careful with what you say. I just got another notice that it said some comments on the live were filtered to protect the community experience. So I get it. The BA is BS, but those things get filtered. You talk about not being around anymore, those things get filtered. You talk about medications, those things get filtered. So we talk about very sensitive topics that apparently the system doesn't like. However, you could twerk and pop it for $1 and it's all copacetic. Make it make sense. Yeah, a cab proves that something happened, so that helps for an argument for like a PTSD thing. What Amy said. Boop, 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 boom. I forgot what it's called, but there are individuals that could help gain that rating up. I'm sure there's somebody with insomnia who likes to go on live and make videos like this and has a company that probably does something like that. Just saying. But you must speak to the symptoms. I thought sleep apnea would be easier than an increase. I was wrong. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Yeah, the increase would have been much easier than that. I was out. My first rating in 22. Filed the claim. Yep. 96 out for sure. As a recap, the VSOs, are there any other we recommend? Thank you. So, yeah, but again, really look into those things there. Those are great avenues to consider. You know, there are private organizations that are pretty good too. I personally think my organization is the Cat's Pajamas because who else comes there live? And my team is literally in the chat, literally answering questions. So Amy is on my team. She's one of my advisors. So we do things a little bit different. So that's that. Let's see. Sabrina said, I was out in 96 and I got my first rating in 2022. File your claims. Yes. All right. You're welcome, Oranger. Oh, Flow Styles is back. I won't answer the 781 question until you tell me if that PTSD claim was an issue or an appeal. Back to the lawyer question to respond. Was that a first claim or is that an appeal? Inquiring minds want to know. How is OptumServe? I have an appointment Friday. It's a hotel. Shit, kind of sketchy. They're all contractors, man, so they're not bad at all. All claims must have a current diagnosis. 100%. 100%. And again, those are the three things you need. You have to have a diagnosis, in-service event or stressor, and a nexus connecting those things as necessary. For sure. What can I... A lot of different things. So what are you dealing with? Let's see. Can I use my primary doctor for my tinnitus, or do I have to see an ear specialist? No, it's anybody can diagnose it. You can go to ENT if you want to. So that's that's for sure. Let's see. As far as we have classes, different things, so it really depends. You know what I'm saying? But on your side, try DAV, try VSL, see if that helps. Waiting for exam for 5 conditions. The whole exam lasted 10 minutes. For initial claim? That seems kind of fast. Been in for 2 years. How would I go about starting to document things? Go to my link in my bio and get the BDD checklist. That's step number 1. Step number 2, go to the bottom of that checklist and click on the wait list for the live class I'm going to be teaching for BDD transitioning service members. So those will be the things to do. And then from there, doctor visits, records, all those things, it's all in the checklist. Okay. First claim, I was rated for insomnia. Got the letter after appealing last month that got me to 90%. See, so that's the whole thing, right? So the lawyer says don't give the VA what they want. It's your first claim, so of course they're not gonna get paid if you win that PTSD claim. But if you get denied because you didn't respond, then they're gonna be like, oh, we can appeal this, and then they'll charge you. I am triggered. How to explain events when said events were on TS level. Even if it's TS level, it doesn't matter because you're not going to give, let's say, details of everything else, but the nature of what's happened, where you were at location, if lives were lost, all that stuff is public knowledge, right? So you're not giving the details of all the TS stuff, but that secret scrolly thing, all these things are recorded. They have it all in there. So you're able to give out what you can give out. The details of the nature of what you were doing there, no, but the fact is you got run over by a vehicle. Do, 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 do. I've seen some. I touched on the Nexus workshop that I did. There's a directive at the VA where they have to help you do these things, but it's like basically going on a date with somebody that's forced to go on a date with you. If they're willing to help, great, but eh, you know. Let's see. For mental health, well, yeah, we need a psychologist, psychiatrist. You don't need a specialist personally. You don't need one, but if you're seeing a neurologist and you want to file a mental health, I mean a migraine claim, it's actually not doesn't it doesn't hurt you. First, mental health. When it comes to mental health, if it's your first claim, the biggest thing is that it is a present tense conversation, not a past tense conversation. Something happened in service, yes, but we have to talk about the symptoms today. The VA is not going to pay you because you did something. The VA is not going to pay you because your job was this. The VA is not going to pay you because you were infantry or you were a badass or you did whatever you did. That mentality gets veterans denied every day of the week because you don't talk about what's happening now. So it's a present tense conversation. Something happened in service, but what's happening today? So it's symptoms, current situation, what is happening, what is the impairment level, and how are you affected in all these different areas of your life. So these are the things that sometimes are missing, sadly, for a lot of veterans, where they don't understand how to articulate what is happening currently. And I understand because the whole thing is like, well, how did the cook get a rating? I did freaking 4 tours in Iraq and we did. There we go again. The cook told the VA what's happening today. You're stuck on the convoy. And you said nothing about today. So, yep. Exactly. That's how lawyers make money. I've been following you since I started my claim. For sure, man. Yeah, yeah. Again, tomorrow night, well, tonight, yeah. We're at it again, doing ACE or CMP class. Links in bio for that. That's actually what I'm kind of testing, make sure that, camera everything is working since I'm on the road. So I'll be teaching the class from the road. So I don't like that either, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it, it's late night. Be prepared for the exam to be rude and unprofessional. Nope, I don't agree with that either. Because what's happening then is, listen to what I'm saying. I am saying we have to focus on symptoms now. You go in there with they're going to be disrespectful and rude to you and all this other shit. You're going in there with the wrong mentality. That's not the fucking focus. You have to focus on your situation. Now, if they are those things, we understand how to push back. I cover this in my class tomorrow night, tonight, whatever. But yeah, what do we do for bad CMPs? But again, that's not the focus. You have to fight your fight, speak to your symptoms. You go in there prepared to be met with that bullshit. Yeah, it may happen, but you also can have someone who's really pleasant and nice and actually lets you speak your piece. As someone who sees a lot of claims and veterans and runs a team and has a company, I hear everything. Look at my videos. I give you by examples of things that have happened horribly. So it's not because I went to a CMP. I'm talking about many, many thousands of veterans over the years that I work with. And yeah, there are bad ones, but there are far more good ones that happens. You know what I mean? So I don't like the whole go in there thinking they're this or that. It kills it. You're supposed to go in there to do your part, but if you go in there waiting to pick a fight, but what do I know? Do 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 do. I think an initial claim exam for the VA for the things I claim. Where you have a diagnosis for those things, because they won't call an exam unless certain things are met to be able to actually make the argument for that. So that does happen from time to time. Do 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 do. You have a right to have a CMP exam, but they contract it to the subcontractor, and if that's what's there, it's an uphill battle sometimes. Why not Optum and VES, right? On the merit of just the name of the company, you're not going to go very far with that. Yeah. What you got going on, Moses? Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I understand. Cool. Appreciate your flow. Had a lot of issues experienced with Optum. Check. Okay. You're being seen. You have diagnosis and service. Are you currently in current? Are you under care now? Big Dog in the Philippines says all claims must have a current diagnosis. Concur. Let's put that on screen. Boop. Uh, what do I think of the Israel thing? No comment. I don't have enough information to comment on that, so I just saw the blurb on it, but that's wild. No, just because they found things doesn't mean they'll rate things. It just means they're going to examine and look into things and see whether or not those things can be connected to service. So, Sabrina, that's a good question, right? I've heard that exams, it really comes down to, it's not a pro or a con, because at the VA you could have just as many shitty doctors. It's just resources and manpower. And the sad part is they put billions of dollars, north of $5 billion, to do these exams. So they're going to use these third-party exams because that was a whole uproar. Veterans were waiting forever for CMP exams. So some happen at the VA, but if they put a subcontractor out there, you know, it's the same fight as if though it was at the VA. So not so much a good or bad thing. You pretty much have a mix of good and bad either way you go, if it does happen bad. Healing and arguing. How many times have you had this situation happen, Chris? Um, Diagnosed with adjustment disorder, depressed mood. How do I make sure when I BDD? When I BDD? What does that mean? Do I need a diagnosis for secondary claims? Yeah, because a secondary claim, it comes down to it's a regular condition, so it's just secondary in the nature of how you're tying it back to service. So again, my left knee has a condition that in turn made me overcompensate to my right knee. Now my right knee in turn has an issue as well, but I still have to have a diagnosis to argue that. So I could have patella tendonitis on the left. If I don't have that diagnosis on the right, it won't really work. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you need a diagnosis for anything you're going to file for. That'll make life much easier as far as that's concerned. What's the point of a secondary claim versus a new claim? Well, so a secondary claim is basically saying something caused it. So again, I was in service, I was injured, I have a bad left leg that is rated. My right leg was not rated because I didn't have an issue. All these years later, now I do have a problem with my right leg because of I'm overcompensating for my left leg. And that in turn means that I have the ability to file it as a secondary. So you're going to file something as a secondary when that's the path, because I can't file it as a primary. So it's just different pathways as to how you're going to file something, right? Because you have direct service, you have your secondaries, you have your presumptives. So there's different ways to argue those things. You're welcome, Trav. Okay, so yeah, so once you get ready to roll, like I said, all that'll be brought up on the BDD process there. So you'll be submitting all those documents with your claim when the time comes for that. And I cover some of that in the BDD checklist that we have as far as making sure you have all those things packaged and submitted with your claim. I have a diagnosis from a civilian doctor. I have to get a diagnosis from a civilian before I. No, it could be a diagnosis anywhere, but again, you're going to appeal saying that they missed it. So the question is, were you denied because you didn't have a diagnosis? Because if that was the case, you were going to get denied, period. So the diagnosis can be from anywhere, but if you're going to appeal, why are you appealing? What happened that required the appeal? Having documented service conditions and current diagnosis, a personal statement versus a buddy letter, is one better than the other, or submit both? Thanks. Great question. So I always look at buddy letters and things like that as kind of like the sprinkles on top type of thing, right? Salt and pepper, if you will. The meat and potatoes is going to be the medical evidence, and your personal statement is giving context and color. So I think what fails to happen in this VA claim process is we don't understand how to make a connection with the system, right? again, that personal statement humanizes you as to what is that impairment creating for you, right? You have all the medical documents saying that you have a shoulder condition, but that personal statement speaks to the fact that you can't help your wife to pick up groceries, you can't pick up your kids, you have these issues. You're now telling the truth and telling your story of what that condition is affecting you and how it's affecting you, right? So that personal statement gives you that window to be able to convey what's actually happening, right? But keep it simple, right? Then a buddy letter kind of gives that context as to this is my reality, and now my wife writes a letter and she's giving context to the situation. Or conversely, you and I grew up together, and I'm speaking to the fact that back in the day, you were the fastest kid ever, and you were freaking, like Flash, and now you can't even walk up a flight of stairs. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell happened? Like, I saw a thing. Or we were together in service and I saw you fall, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So that kind of is how I would look at it. So both, if you have them, for sure. James, great question. On the YouTubes. Let's see. Do-do-do-do-do-do. You look at the comments, yeah, people watch the content. For some, that's enough for them to be able to do what they got to do. Some folks jump in a class, like the CMP class I'm teaching tonight, and that helps them there. So there's different ways we can help vets. Yeah, but dental is really, really weird when it comes to that. Yeah, because I had to look it up, but for dental is really weird. Like I don't that like the tooth situation, help tooth care, dental care at the VA. I won't talk too much about it because someone in the chat came from that world of dental. Yeah, that might be a little bit. Again, there might be other things to look at, but that one, I don't know. I'd tackle that a few different ways probably. Let's see. Medboard, I feel like it's easier. It's easier and more giving. You think so? Yeah, because you have the proof of what's happening, right? So there's something obviously in the service that's having them medboard you out. So the argument kind of lends itself to what's happening. So yeah, is it hard to get to 100 from 80%? Impossible for some people, right? Not everybody goes to 100. So to put context, out of 18 million veterans, only a million and change are 100%. Moral of the story, you could argue that's pretty hard for most people to get to 100. But not impossible, right? This is the path. How to get there? What is there potentially that can be argued if there's a path? And then also, some people just might be 80 for a while. And over the years, things may get worse, and then maybe there's an argument for an increase then. So, But I like to put those numbers out there because I think sometimes that's very misleading for people, right? Like, oh, 100, everybody has 100. No, they don't. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally 18 million veterans and a million that are 100%. Stop it. But that's what we think because we know 5 people who have 100, right? What specifically we're talking about as far as the ED, what's confusing on that? It's pretty straightforward when it comes to that one, right? You have a diagnosis, this thing was caused by that, and the doctor fills it out. So they won't like I'm gonna keep it PC. Willie, I'd say keep it, as close you can to a year. To Big Dog's point, 12 months. It just helps. Again, like a sleep test study done within a year helps them not have to go do another thing because again, is it something current that they can validate there? So I'd always err to the 1 year side of the house. During COVID, you could argue a little bit more because availability and all the things that were happening. But yeah, I'd say get in there and get seen recently to make sure you're in that 12 period. But a great question nonetheless, as far as the time frame for a current diagnosis. So if you have had a diagnosis and it's been 5 years, you may have to revisit that. But I will say this though, for many veterans, there are instances where you're going to see somebody and you may have not gone back to see the doctor in 5 years. And why so? Well, because the last time I went to the doctor, it was either more meds or get surgery. I don't want meds. I don't want surgery. So guess what? What am I going to go pay a doctor for, right? But if you're going to file a claim now, go get seen again and have something current. Yeah, I'd say, get the extension while you can. You're there already. You're on the way out as is, but make sure that you're able to do. And I understand it's time to go. You're done with it. It's time to check out and you are ready to roll. But if you can take care of things while on orders and active duty, do those things. It'll make life much more simpler for you. Yeah, like I said, for the dental side of the house, you have to be missing some, things for sure. Yeah, and again, you know what I mean? Because you can make an argument for certain things. These things happen there, right? Is there a lifestyle impact argument to be made there, right? Is there something where now that's caused other issues? So you may not get rated for something specifically, or they may not factor it, but something happened in service that in turn has caused now, an impact to your lifestyle and all the things that you are seeing. So sometimes I use the example of like, having carpal tunnel. Let's say that doesn't get rated very high, but if you're, an electrician or a doctor, the inability to use your hand, that's going to be a problem. Whereas somebody else, not so much. So the impact to the lifestyle, right? That's an argument that goes down the mental health path, right? If that makes sense for your husband. Excuse me. Actually, let me pop this one over here too. Big Dog had a good point, so let me go ahead and put him on the screen. Big Dog in the Philippines. How do you like the Philippines? I have some virtual assistants in the Philippines. I was actually going to go to the Philippines over the winter, but then it just didn't work out. But I was planning to go to the Philippines in December, maybe next year or this year. But yeah, let me know where you at, Big Dog, in the Philippines. ¿Dónde estás in the Philippines? Should I worry about seeing mental health at the VA? Scared of rate reduction? That's a very common question. No, no. But just get seen, get care. You know what I'm saying? Just be cautious of the things you're saying. Sometimes I think that sadly, when it comes to the system, you know, people take liberties, right? Like, how's your back today? Well, doc, it took me a freaking hour to get here. The only way I'm going to get here is popping some prickling perks. I'm on fucking cloud nine. Does that mean my condition got better? Fuck no. It just means I'm freaking on meds because I had to take a long ass drive here, right? So, being very, careful, I guess, with the things you're furnishing, because I've heard some horror stories do happen, not far and few between, but it's not a hurting thing, right? Care is care, and being realistic as to what's going on. What's up with Husbash? Amy actually has a Husbash crew. Yeah, yeah, I'm talking about like when they look at it, it's like missing, like an accident or you're missing part of you like the mandibular and things like that. So it's very much looked at from that perspective. Boop, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. I have a regular mental health appointment tomorrow. Should I be scared? Okay, I think that's the same question again. So we move. It's for new meds. No, go get the meds. Should be good. Let's see. What did Trav ask? Go back. All right, I guess that was an LOD thing. I might have missed it. Diagnosis TMJ. Okay, she has that there. Any updates on VA regs changing for rating? I know you brought. So yeah, so all these are proposals. Nothing is. Let's see, Davao 2 hour flights from Manila. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, no, these proposed changes are just that. They're proposed, and their suspense date is June of this year. So, no changes, business as usual. And even if it does go into effect, when they pass it, the implementation period will not be overnight either. So it's a process because things have to be updated, people have to be trained, and the proposed changes, especially on the mental health side, is a big change from the current DSM-5 criteria to the WHO 2.0 criteria. So that's going to be a whole different workup that people are going to have to get trained on. So just like when the PAC Act was signed into law in that summer, August timeframe, it didn't go into effect until January. So things like that take time, and even then, it's a train wreck when they rolled it out too. So, yeah. but no changes. Not as of yet. Do, 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 do. Yeah, TMJ is a whole different thing from Tooth Pain. All right. Yes. All righty. Let's see how I'm doing on my 5 minutes. Boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. Oh, an hour and 11. Okay, so we'll do a 5 minute warning as we start to get ready to wrap for the night. So if you have any alibi questions, feel free to pop them in. Aside of that, I'll be in class. I might pop in later on and do another one. But yeah, class tomorrow. So I usually take pretty light before class. So we'll see. You might have to appeal that, Moses. Your own MRI to bring to them? What are you looking for specifically to do with that? You miss every shot you don't take. That's the truth. Okay. What specifically are you trying to get that for to help? Okay, let's see. As we wrap. But I appreciate y'all hanging out for here for a little bit. If you're not following, make sure you do so. Same username on both TikTok and YouTube. So, gotta post some things tomorrow. Get that up. My drafts are ridiculous. I have like, I think 190 videos on draft. It's crazy. Let's see. Okay. Who was it? Okay, Kyle on the BDD waitlist. Shout out to you. Okay. Very cool. You're very welcome, Sabrina. Sure, shoot what you got. Alibi is welcome as we get ready to wrap. Appreciate you, Willie. Thank you for hanging out, brother. Appreciate you. All right, Brian has one of the last questions, so let's see. I'm in the infant stages of this journey, VSOs. Mine doesn't respond to email, so communication is limited. Is this, in your opinion, an issue? You know what, James? I'm gonna give it to you straight because we are doing the VA claims insomnia hour here, right? Yeah, but again, it's not. And again, caveat: I'm not attacking of the VSO in nature here. I think that you have great VSOs, but I also believe that they're very limited in staff and resources. So you have one VSO managing how many veterans in their location, right? So you're kind of getting that free help, but what's the cost of the free help? And I'm not necessarily saying one is good or bad. If you have a good one, great. But yeah, that's a problem because again, what if you had gone to a CMP and it went completely south and you're hearing crickets and you need somebody to talk to? You know what I mean? So that's a thing that definitely I think is an issue because you need someone to be with you in the trenches. And I'm not saying they have to get back to you immediately, but dude, if you're freaking waiting and they're not getting back to you and the VA may be asking for things and that's just like pulling teeth to get help, man, what help is that, right? So I don't know. You should. I think that if you're going to go down this route, you need to have at least some support that makes sense, right? How is it that you can ask me a question here and I'm making myself available to answer your question? right? Granted, they don't have the ability to do things like this, but my point is you should have a level of accessibility to them. So in my opinion, I think that is an issue, right? Because you need someone to help you navigate. Like you said, it's an issue parts of your claim process. You may not know what you don't know. It's more than just file for everything. Let's see what happens. So 1 year for appeal if it was denied. Yes. Peace, my brother. Appreciate you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I think that question is answered. Amy got you there. You are welcome, good people. But again, again, caveat. I'm not bashing anyone. I'm just saying you should definitely have at least, access to the help, whoever the help may be. That's all. And don't do like the lawyer situation. Which that reminds me, I always keep forgetting about that lawyer thing. I got to do a video on that. We had a veteran who went to a lawyer, and man, they were freaking sending her all kind of threatening things. They wouldn't release her from the contract. They wanted back pay on a claim that she was about to win from an appeal. Like it's just such BS what some of these folks do. Yeah, they're the good ones supposedly. I'll do a rant video on that one soon. Dismissed and denied. Cheese Louise. I use VSO for my first claim, learn the system, and do it on my own. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Again, for some people, that's fine. And that's why I always say, like, hey, do that thing. You hit the wall and you get to a place where it's like, hey, I am stuck. I can't go through this. Then call the kid. You know what I'm saying? But I'm always big on that. Like, go down that road, do that thing, try it, learn, etc. Because I know folks reach out this way and they're like, what's going on, Moultrie? Some people come out to me and they're like, hey, can you help with this stuff? I'm like, you may want to explore some options. More so because again, it's a whole process, right? Sabrina runs into a problem. He's like, look, I'm doing my own. I just can't figure this one out. Okay, let's talk. Let's get perspective, right? Moultrie's in the building. My battle buddy from boot camp many moons ago. Me and Moultrie went to boot camp together. Feeling kind of old. 1999. Man, we were in the same. We had the bunk bed situation in boot camp. That's crazy. Man, how time flies. How time flies. Best thing you could do is learn. Getting educated day by day, and that's the game. That's the game. That's really what it comes down to. You know what I mean? And again, there may be a point where you get yourself to a certain point, and after that, you may have to reset, get perspective. But things like this help. There's different ways to do these kind of things for sure. But yeah, make sure you're following. More content on the way. Class is in session in a few hours. We're gonna shut it down here. I'll be back for another 5 minutes later on. Every time I say 5 minutes, it always turns into an hour and change. So there's that part. Let's see, 100% extra scheduler. Specifically for what? Fun fact, Amy. So Moultrie, he's extra scheduler for his migraines. So he actually fought that, and if I recall correctly, it was still valid. He went to 100 on his migraines. So yeah. So extra schedulers, those things don't just get awarded to you. It's definitely a process. But when there are instances where you can go beyond that, you can argue to, something like migraines, going to 100, et cetera, case may be, you have to really show that, and again, it's going to be an appeal thing, whatever the case may be. But the extra scheduler side of the house, those things are there, but for sure, possible, just not something that many people explore or do, just because of all the processes and things that have to go down that route. Check. Yep. So yeah, that was a long battle too. You was fighting that for a little bit too. I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, he has some horrible migraines. Check. But yeah. Alrighty. So we are going to shut it there. Yeah, but make sure you're following. Hit the bell. I'll be popping in throughout the week as I gallivant around here in Arizona doing the things that we do. But I appreciate y'all. If I missed your question, sorry. The system filters stuff, so sometimes things don't pop up. So that's just kind of how it goes. But yeah, good time hanging out with y'all for a little bit. But we shall kick it again soon. So I appreciate y'all. Have a great day. And to Insomnia, we go. Appreciate y'all.